The cost of everything has gone up, including silver, but many of us feel it should be a lot higher than where it is now. Why? Well, not just because of the markets, but because of the cost to produce it. So in this video, we're going to find out exactly what it costs to produce an ounce of silver. Let's talk about it as we explore. We love to look at silver, but there's so much that goes into the creation of a struck or poured piece of silver. First, it's got to be mined and then refined. And there's a lot of costs associated with that. It can be very complex. Now, a lot of these miners, they hedge themselves, they protect themselves because of market fluctuations. Some people think, well, silver can only go so low or else miners will go out of business. Well, believe you me, there is a certain range that they feel very comfortable being able to still profit and make money on, because the vast majority of silver is mined as a byproduct of other metals. Gold doesn't really have that problem, especially nowadays over the past couple of years, as it's reached all-time highs in terms of nominal dollars. But silver, you got to be very careful, and this is one of the reasons why there's not nearly as much primary silver mining happening these days. So what's behind the rising cost of silver? Well, we're going to look at some data from the Silver Institute that gives us a little bit of an idea about what's going on with this nice little infographic that has been provided here from Visual Capitalist. This is pretty eye-opening and telling where the cost of silver has gone over the last couple of years, from 2001 to 2023. Now, we have to define some things here. We're going to get into some of these here because you got cash costs, then you have additional costs that are needed to reach the all-in sustaining cost. So that's what you have together. They break it down as to what's going on. You'll notice that the additional costs that are needed make up a pretty big pie for a lot of this, depending on what region you're from here. We can see the different regions, and we can see that in North America, the cost has gone up substantially. In fact, last year, silver got to $19.44. That means profit margins are fairly low when you think about what it takes to actually create and purify an ounce of silver to mine it. Now, I don't know if this includes refinement or not to produce 1 ounce of silver, or just to get it out of the mine's hands. And because refineries are separate institutions, right? So I don't know. The all-in sustaining cost for producing an ounce of silver as opposed to mining an ounce of silver. So let's just assume that this includes probably refinement as well. And so you see in 2023 what the number was here in North America. Central and South America, you can see there where it is. And Russia and some of these nations here that is CIS, we'll look at that, what that means later. But you can see that they have climbed up everywhere. South America, well, there's a lot more silver mined there, so they probably haven't honed down to a science, so it hasn't increased quite as much. But still, it has gone up. But the biggest increase for the past couple of years would be in this region here that I can see, as opposed to where it was in 2021, $8.93. This is, I think, skewed. Obviously, North America has the highest number there, but Mexico is a part of that too. They're a very, very big producer there. Oceania, interesting here. In 2021, it was negative $2.90. So what's going on? This is heavily skewed. There's got to be something behind this. Silver is mined in these regions, but not nearly as much. $1.45 when you take into account the two measures, negative and positive. And then in 2023, because of inflation, up to $9.81. The cheapest is what has been mined in Asia. When you look at that, $8.91, still increased from the two previous years. That is remarkable. Now, if we take a look at this information a little bit closer, we can see what's behind this. The total cash cost includes all direct and indirect costs incurred during the physical process of mining the silver. And the all-in sustaining cost include all cash costs as well as capital costs, corporate and administrative expenses, and the cost of exploration. I'm glad they definitely break them down between the two, but the number that really matters is the all-in sustaining cost. And again, this doesn't really tell us if that means it includes refinement or not. I just not really sure. To produce an ounce of silver, if you measure it out by ounces, if it's unrefined in doré form, I don't know. I don't know what's involved in that, or if some of these mining operations, when they process it afterwards, how that's done. But there you have it. North America, South and Central America, in the numbers and tabular form here. Commonwealth of Independent States, that's CIS, which is an odd designation because, you've got to, I don't know if that's a Commonwealth of Independent States. Look at that on the map there. It seems to be a part of Europe and Upper Asia. So I don't know, but it's interesting to see how that designation is, but you can see the different numbers there and why it was much less in Oceania. North America average production costs rose for the fourth year in a row to $9.14 total cash cost and $19.44 in all-in sustaining costs, driven in part by the appreciation of the Mexican peso against the U.S. dollar and high inflation. So that's one of the aspects, one of the reasons why that's occurred. Mexico being one of the biggest producers, and dollar beating it out makes it a lot more expensive. In 2023, local inflation in Mexico eased to 5.5% and to 4.1% in the United States, which is still above the historic average. So inflation plays a big role here, folks. In 2023, Central and South America was home to the third, fourth, and fifth, and 10th largest producing countries, Peru, Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina, respectively. Regionally, costs were almost flat year over year, as ameliorating inflation was offset by strengthening exchange rates, including the Peruvian sol. Now, in the land down under, easing inflation and weakening of the Australian dollar against its U.S. counterpart increased cash costs and all-in sustaining costs above zero. Lead and zinc byproduct revenues helped offset silver costs, and that's not really what has been emphasized here, because you have to think about even all of these others. The vast majority of silver is mined as a byproduct of other metals. Lead and zinc as byproduct revenues often helped offset these silver costs, sometimes even turning them negative, as they were in 2021. So, and I think that does play some role in some of these other regions. So I look at this as somewhat incomplete. Incomplete in so much as defining exactly what it means to be mining. What's a mined ounce of silver? And mine an ounce of silver, but then it says here production. And production, I think, is a little different than just mining, because you can bring it to the raw ore, process it there, but then you got to refine it and take it into its pure form. So I don't know. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments section down below. But I tell you what, it gives you a new appreciation. It takes a lot of work to produce an ounce of silver, and a lot of time and money. And exploration is another aspect of it too that a lot of people don't think about. Of course, when you think about that, the exploration and the technology involved in it, hopefully it gets cheaper and becomes easier to do and due course. Now, places like Poland, who are going to have a lot of underground reserves, at least they say, and it'll be very interesting to see how that will skew the numbers as we head into next year, if they do this infographic and be able to provide the data. But I'd like to be able to see this stuff. But one thing that is amazing, when you hold a piece of silver in your hand, it gives you an appreciation for what has gone into it. But you know that it is a finite resource. There's only so much of it in the ground. Now, we're not going to run out anytime soon. And when you think about the time, energy, and cost to be able to produce it, and the fact that it keeps going up, that means that silver's price will likely continue to go up. When people buy ETFs and paper representations of silver, and they do enough research, and the whole market itself does enough research, and know that the entity behind it, silver, is costly, and there is some intrinsic value to it. Even though you're not really buying silver when you buy an ETF, you're only merely purchasing the exposure to the price of silver. You're only looking at the price. not the metal itself. You don't own silver when you buy an ETF with the SLV or PSLV or anything like that. Whether it's backed at 1-to-1 or not, it matters not. Silver is a metal that is physical in form. So having the physical will cost you not only the spot price, but a premium above it, with some exceptions. And these days, those exceptions are becoming fairly commonplace, where you can find spot deals out there or something very close to spot. But nonetheless, this should encourage you, if you are a buyer of silver or a holder of silver, that the prices are probably going to climb, given what we've been seeing in this infographic. Every single one of these shows an increase at some level of some form. Even this one here, as marginal as it is an increase. Everything is going up. The cost of everything is going up. And I think that's part and parcel as to why silver's price has climbed to over about $30 an ounce. In fact, it even says here the average price of silver in 2023 was $23.31 per ounce. But through 2024, it's trading at its highest average point in over a decade, often selling at above $30 per ounce. In fact, as I record this video, it has pulled back from there, but it's $3 away from that. But still, it wasn't that long ago when it was trading at $30 an ounce. So there you have it. So I hope you found this video informative. I do like to provide you the latest news and information and analysis on silver and other precious metals. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, I hope you will consider pressing that thumbs up button down below and maybe subscribing to the channel if you find value in the content I provide here. I do post daily videos. So with that, I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.